Hello everybody, my name is Miles Newell. I'm your Student Body Vice President, and today we have Jocelyn Gutierrez and Keith Pierce. You guys can go ahead and introduce yourselves.
After you.
I'm Jocelyn Arias Gutierrez, and I'm going for Vice President for the Student Body.
Thank you.
I'm Keith Pierce. I'm running for President of the Associated Student Government.
Awesome. Go ahead and tell everybody what you guys do and are involved in on campus.
Go first.
Sure. All right. I am currently holding the position of Events Coordinator in the Club Advisory Board. It's my job to plan all of the events that CAB does, help clubs plan their events, and kind of work through scheduling and logistics with them. I also currently serve as the Chancellor of the SBS Council, President of Anthropology Club, and I am a Sergeant-at-Arms on our fencing team.
Awesome. Jocelyn?
A lot of my time goes to the CMU club team. I play soccer with them, and I've done it for the last 2 years at CMU. I also am part of the Criminal Justice Association Club as part of the Pre-Loss Association, and I also am part of the TRIO, which is the first generation club that we have here at CMU.
That's awesome. So today I'm going to be asking you guys a few questions. You guys will each get like 1.5 to 2 minutes to answer each question. I'll shuffle between the both of you, and yeah.
Sounds good.
First question for you guys is, what is the most important issue you see currently on campus that you want to address if elected? Jocelyn, we'll start with you.
I feel like the biggest issue right now we have is financially. A lot of students kind of know that our money is going to certain places that maybe they're not even a part of, and I feel like that's kind of not fair for a lot of students. So I feel like the biggest issue I see right now is a lot of students don't feel like they're heard, and I feel like a lot of our problems need to be based off the students, since they're the ones that are actually giving us their time and their quality, and we should give them back the same.
Awesome. Keith?
For me, it's a transparency issue, which is kind of where we see that money problem come in. ASG, it's hard as a member of the student government to get out there, but you're also unheard of, unseen. Most students you talk to don't know what student life is, they don't know what they do or what the orgs are. So I just kind of want to give that opportunity for students to look into what the student government and what the orgs are doing and to get answers back.
Awesome. So how do you guys plan to bridge that gap between ASG and the student body so they have that sense of transparency that you guys are referring to?
I feel like making sure people know what ASG is and actually getting the word out there, like in every event and every tailgate like they do at football games or any like sports events. And I feel like actually getting ASG and making students know like there's a student body here and they're actually willing to listen to you. And we don't want them just to feel like we need their ideas, because we actually want to make their ideas come true if they count on us. So I feel like making sure they know what ASG is.
And to kind of achieve those ends, having potentially Microsoft forms that they can fill out with like suggestions to the student government. Or another thing that we are very passionate about is doing a monthly press release. Everything that ASG has done, every bill we've passed, every vote, to the Criterion, Horizon Magazine, CMU-TV, KMSA, and getting them to kind of put the word out to the student body of, hey, this is what your student government is, here's who passed this bills, here's what they're doing for you right now.
That's awesome. All right, next question for you guys is, what experience have prepared you to effectively fulfill the role of ASG President and Vice President? Keith, we'll start with you.
Sure. I would say it's two different things. One is my time in student life already. I served in the House of Representatives last year. I saw and worked through a biennial process with my colleagues there. And now in CAB, I've seen the like non-ASG end of student life. I know what it's like to be in an org. I know what it's like to be on the receiving end of club leadership and administration. So I can kind of bridge that gap that is kind of hard to make it across. And the other thing is, currently I am an elected official. I serve in the National Assembly of Youth Leaders as one of Colorado's 9 representatives. So I have the experience in Robert's rules and governing and politics that I can kind of bring into it and make sure that it's a properly functioning governing system.
Definitely handy for sure. Jocelyn?
I feel like I played a lot of roles, and I feel like the biggest one I played was in high school, being valedictorian. Being able to like public speak in front of a graduation, like that gave me a lot of advance of being a leader and making sure like people know that like, I'm here to like listen and I'm here to like advocate for you people. And I feel like that's like the biggest leadership role I've been playing in my whole life, as well as I was part of the Senate at ASG for the last 2 years. So being a part of like actually knowing what the ASG is and what the Senate does, and actually seeing you run the Senate, it's actually like that kind of what has boosted me to continue to like, oh, like I can actually do that with these people, and you're like kind of the biggest reason why like I was like, this is possible and change is possible.
Awesome. So as you guys possibly come into these roles, what expectations or I guess responsibilities are considered for your positions? Jocelyn, we'll start with
I
you.
feel like the vice president is more of like the Senate. Like your biggest role is the Senate, and I think filling the Senate was a big goal for you guys, and a lot of ASG members have that. And I think that's kind of like one thing I really want to focus on is filling the Senate and making sure every senator is well heard and representing each club and every organization they need to. So I definitely feel like having like our Senate fill will help me. So I think that's the biggest thing a vice president would focus on is advocating for the Senate as well as all the bills that would get passed.
Yeah, awesome. Keith?
I mean, as I'm sure you're aware, the president wears a lot of hats. You serve on the
Absolutely.
faculty senate. You're the bridge between admin and the student body. You help run and coordinate and establish committees. You have to veto and oversee all of the student orgs and ASG. So in that role, you're kind of a versatile jack of all trades in the like administrative end of campus. So it'd be, you know, kind of my responsibility to make sure everything runs smoothly, that the ship doesn't rock too terrible much, and to keep everybody kind of on track and focused on our goals.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys mentioned the big money problem being within campus. As we know, the biennial process is coming up next year. How do you guys plan to effectively make that transparent for our student body as you guys allocate those student fees next year? Keith, we'll start with you.
The biggest thing that we want to do to ensure that transparency is I won't say make org budgets public, but make meeting times, make office hours, make availability public for everybody so they can go in and talk to those orgs. But also having those orgs come to us, show us progress. Hey, to use Mavrites for an example, we served 1,000 students last year. This year we've given rides to 1,500. Seeing that increase and service and ability to help protect and take care of the students would see that kind of budget increase, and then vice versa for other orgs. While I can't personally think of one offhand who's like done a disservice, they've all done excellent work. But if there is an org that shows like that downward decline, saying, hey, what do you guys need for support? What visions do you need? Where can we move budgets to help you all? And then trying to build that equity balance between the different orgs and the ASG to make sure that funding goes where it's needed, but also where it's serving the students best.
Absolutely. Jocelyn?
Did you ask the question again?
Yeah. So basically, in terms of the biennial process next year, how do you plan to be as transparent as possible with the student body as you guys allocate those student fees next year?
I think making sure we speak to every single club and actually every like organization to make sure like we can hear what they might need, and being able to actually like create a good equal bound and like separating that gap that people think that ASG has. Like I think we should definitely like have their voice in it because they're the ones that we're helping out. So I think bridging that gap will actually help. So I think my plan is like actually speaking to all the clubs, organizations, trying to meet with them monthly so they can know that we're here and we're still trying to get their ideas no matter what.
Good answers, guys. All right, next question for you guys is, well, this will be for both the president and vice president, so it'll be two different answers, or two different questions. For the vice president, how will you support and strengthen the communication within ASG and the student body?
I feel like making sure, I know back in the day, like a couple years ago, ASG was very strong on making sure every senator would meet with the president or the executive team and making sure that it wasn't just like meetings that they would see each other, but making sure they had relationships outside of the ASG meetings. And I feel like the biggest communication thing I would do is like making sure we all have like ways to communicate weekly and be able to speak to each other and actually have events like together and making sure like everyone's a part of everything and not feel left out.
Awesome. Keith?
I mean, we've talked about that garnering of support of the media orgs as well to kind of get the news out, get the word out. But on top of that, to build that connection between us and the student body, I want us to be visible. I want to be able to host, like tonight we just got back from a town hall event. We came over here to do this now. I want to hold those more frequently. I want there to be a chance for the exec team or the Senate leader or the senators to stand in front of a crowd of students and those students tell them, hey, we want this, why is your voting record this, what can you do about this? To be able to hear directly from the bodies on campus to the body of administration and be able to share those ideas and communicate back and forth.
Awesome. Well, last question for you guys is, how do you guys plan to effectively bridge that gap and I guess show face within campus for people who may not know who you are? Me personally, of course, people don't really know too much about ASG and who we are and what me and Leilani do on campus. So how do you guys effectively plan on doing that next year? Jocelyn, we'll start with you. Yeah.
I think bringing it onto new Mavs, so I feel like new Mav days is like a big thing to have tabling of ASG and like talking to new students or even on tours when like freshmen come out and take tours on campus, being able to maybe just introduce ourselves and tell them like who we are and who student body is and what they could do for them. So I feel like making sure we actually plan more events in the beginning of the year, and that way like every sports teams as well like are able to have their own tabling, or the frats are able to have their own tablings and introduce who they are and actually be able to get the word out there. So I think creating a lot more events on new Mav days, or even the early start program that they have for their freshmen coming in.
Yeah, cool.
I think the biggest untapped medium for that communication is social media from ASG. Like we have the Instagram, obviously, but it has few followers and seldom posts, and part of that also is just the amount of work it takes to run a fully functioning social media. But having more methods for that, like the ASG Senate recently started a social media, having one for the House, having one obviously for the main branch to be posting frequently, having a Facebook page maybe, because I know, at least in my case, my parents like to tell me everything that's going on at CMU, and they do that via Facebook. So why not give them the opportunity to hear what's going on so they can spread the word to their kids? Tapping into that social media market is huge, and it's just something that we don't really exercise at the moment because of the undertaking. And I'd like us to put that weight on our shoulders and get that ball rolling.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for coming. Wish you guys the best of luck for the rest of your guys' campaigning.
Thank you very much.
Great work.
Thank you for your time,
for your
Miles.
time.
Of course.